Hey WC Replays, this is Raihn and I'm bringing you a StarCraft 2 audio commentary on a couple games that I've played, and it's going to be about a little Marine rush that I've developed over the course of the first few games that I've played. And I haven't really played very much, and I'm only ranked gold, so I'm not that skilled a player. I did play in the beta and I got up to diamond, and I did use this strategy a little bit. It's not a real super smooth ironed out strategy, but it's pretty fun. So let's go ahead and get the first game loaded up. First replay loaded up. It's included with the audio, and we'll give you a couple seconds to load that up. I'd just like to say that I'm pretty excited about what Warcraft 3 and this new StarCraft 2 coming out. Pretty excited about where this might head for us, and all the exciting, entertaining games that are in store. So I'm just loading up my replay as well, and let's pause it at the 10-second mark whenever you get a chance, and then I'll count down from there. First replay is going to be on the Steppes of War, and I'm going to be spawning at the top right position, and my enemy zerg player is going to be at the bottom left position. And this rush is dependent on the zerg player, or depending on getting the Rachel mashup of Terran versus Zerg, and it's mostly applicable only on 1v1 maps. So I'm at the 10-second mark, and we'll go ahead and unpause, and 3, 2, 1, and this is on the faster setting. So the opening here is going to be pretty similar for the first part. It's going to be your standard, 10 supply depot and 11 racks. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to get any Vespian gas. This is going to be a mineral-only build for the early part, and that's kind of the big shift in what we're hoping to throw the Zerg player off with. As you can see, the Zerg player has sent off his Overlord, and he's going to be scouting, and you can see that he's sending it off to the side. And now this is important for Zerg players because they try not to get that Overlord scouted right away by me sending an SCV scout. So they don't want what they're trying to avoid is their first Overlord getting picked off by your first couple Marines, and which is a smart thing that the player's doing. And once again, this is only gold rank, so not really for you pro players, but it's just a fun little audio, a fun little strategy that I've developed. And this is my Marine rush against Zerg. So I'm sitting down my barracks right now, standard timing, and I'm trying to keep up on my SCV production. Once again, my mechanics aren't that strong here, but as that barracks is going up, now the key to this strategy is pushing at the 27 supply mark. And on this replay, I kind of supply block myself, which is important to note, because whenever you're doing this 4 to 5 Marine barracks push, you're gonna get supply blocked if you don't pay very close attention. Now another important thing to note is that I've thrown down that supply depot before I finish my barracks. I go ahead and cancel him building so I can throw that down, and that is because I don't want the drone to get in. A lot of Zerglings usually doesn't happen on 1v1 maps, but sometimes they will send their drone out because they really want to know what you're doing. So what I do is I throw that supply depot down there. It is early, but it's designed to keep the drone out for a little bit longer and make sure he can't see what else you're going to be doing, because once that drone gets in there, he's kind of hard to get out. It takes a lot of micro and management, and that might throw you off building your barracks. And as you can see, you start building barracks pretty quickly, because anytime you get an excess amount of minerals that you can throw a barracks down, you want to do it. So as you can see, I've got my 2 barracks going down, and as usual, you're going to get your orbital command at its standard timing. That doesn't change either. It's just basically you're replacing getting refineries with getting barracks. As you can see, Stitch here is trying to pull his Overlord in. He's trying to get some scouting done, and as well, he's got a couple of Zerglings out. He wants to try and see if he can get scouting done with those two, but my ramp is blocked. That's not too unexpected for him, and I start moving my Marines around. Now, if he'd come in at the other angle at the bottom, he might have seen me having 2 barracks, which isn't very uncommon, but I would have been able to react and take out the Overlord soon enough. Now, I'm confident that I have enough Marines right now. I'm getting close to my timing push timing, and so I'm going to go ahead and push out right now. I've got 27 supply. I have gotten myself supply blocked like I talked about earlier, but what I have is I have 4 barracks, and I'm pushing out. And usually if this happens, if you're quick enough to realize that your supply blocked, cancel a couple Marines and throw down that 5th barracks, and that'll kind of help you make up for it. Now something that's really important is as you're pushing out, you want to take about 5 SCVs with you. Now SCVs travel a little bit faster than Marines, so a lot of times I'll start sending the Marines out first, get that rally for all the barracks set up on the Marines, and then I send my 5 SCVs out. Now it's important to take out any Overlord you see, because that cripples the Zerg player so much whenever you're pushing, because they only have a very limited amount of larva whenever they first start the game. And they're trying to do a lot with that larva. And what you're doing right now is you're kind of messing with that aspect of Zerg. As you can see, I'm pushing in. Those SCVs are being used as blockers. I'm firing on like the building spine crawlers, and I'm firing on the queen, because I want to get that queen out, because really what I'm doing is I'm not so much resource blocking the Terran and the Zerg player, but what I'm doing is I'm kind of messing with his larva production more than anything. So as you can see, like, they took out all my SCVs, and this is what you really need to do as Zerg to defeat this push. What you want to do is you want to, before you lose your queen, before you lose those initial Zerglings for defense, and before those spine crawlers get out, if you just pull all your drones out, you're pretty much going to win against the Marines. And then you have enough drones to keep up your harvesting, and you can make banelings to counter. But at this point, he's lost his queen, lost his Zerglings, and with those last few Marines that I have, I make sure and I focus fire on drones. I've learned to do that. Like, if you know your Marines are going to go down, that last little group that you have, kill as many drones as you can, because what we're seeing now is his counter push, and that's what I know Zerg want to do, is they want to try and counter push you, which is a smart idea, because it's going to be hard to defend these banglings with just Marines. Now, but that's another thing that's nice about this, is as you can see, I'm picking up and I'm moving all my barracks. Now, if I was a better player, I probably would have done it a little bit faster, and if he was a better player, he would have got his banelings and his Zerglings up there a little bit faster doing damage, but I think it's still viable. As you can see, he has a tough time getting up here, and even if he takes these 2 supply depots down, it's not really going to affect me that much. I have plenty of time to focus fire on the banelings. See, he was able to take out those, but I have such a wall with all these extra barracks that I can handle it, and I have so much minerals coming in. As you can see, and what's important to note about this is it's not completely, it's not that you can't transition from this into any other play. It's not exactly a safe play, I wouldn't say, but you can successfully transfer. And what I've done is I've thrown down a couple of refineries, and I'm throwing down a factory right now. I'm getting my supply up. I have quite a few harvesters that I'm able to make, and I'm throwing down a tech lab so that I can upgrade the Marines that I do have, so they can do as much damage as possible. Usually I expect roaches and banelings to come after this, so I try and get a couple marauders and get some stim to kill the banelings, as well as trying to tack up to get siege tanks. And this is where you want to get your supply, want to get your expansion up as well. But what I've done is, because I know I've done a lot of damage, I know that his counterattack failed miserably, so I counter pushed to see what he had. Maybe I can kill a few drones or something like that, and I can always walk back if I need to. But yeah, I found out he only had like 4 drones. He used every larva he could to get those Zerglings up and to counter push with the banelings. So I won that match. And generally, like, honestly, in gold, I win about 80% of Zerg versus Terran on 1v1 maps using stuff like this, which is kind of cheap, but it's fun to play. So let's go ahead and quit out of that. We're going to get the next replay loaded. I included 3 replays just to give you a chance to take a look at how it works. Like, these are 3 replays. I didn't just like try and hand pick these or anything. These are just 3 replays I played a couple days ago, and I think they were almost, well, 2 of them were right in a row, and the other one was a couple days later. And it's not like I spammed a bunch of games to get these or anything. I just just happened to play a couple of Zerg players, and I did this against, because honestly I didn't have very much time to play, and I was like, well, I need to need to make a win out of it, or I need to go pretty quickly. So we're going to go ahead and get this next replay. Replay 2 should be labeled. Pause this at the 10-second mark. Now, we are in the Zognaga caverns here, and my zerg enemy has spawned on the top right, and I'm spawning on the bottom left. Once again, it's 1v1 map, so we'll go ahead and get this replay in action in 3, 2, 1, unpause. Alright, so once again, focusing on standard play up until that point where we diverge from getting the refinery to getting the barracks, or to getting more barracks, and emphasis on closing off your ramp so the zerg can't really figure out what you're doing. So hopefully you're hoping that they kind of tech and get their expansion and they don't defend up quite a bit. You're hoping that they think that you're going for something like a Banshee, push, or maybe a Thor harass, So that's kind of what you want to do. And so that's what the beginning of the game is surrounded on, like making it look very standard from the Zerg perspective, and then using the Marines you do have to like counter any Overlord scouting and trying to make sure that they don't get in. And this, you can see there's a lot of ramp, a lot of ways to get in to my base with an Overlord. But the thing is, and that's why it's important to spread out your barracks whenever you do this, is so that if you do see an Overlord getting close to your base, you have enough Marines that you can back them off. And since you've spreaded your barracks around, the Zerg really have like a tough time, I've noticed, scouting. They're not like Terran, they can't just pop a scan off. They're not like Protoss that, you can place observers and stuff everywhere. Like, those Overlords are pretty weak, and you can take them out, especially as Terran, really early on in the game if you're paying attention. Now you can see that he's scouting with the drone, and this, how I mentioned in the last game, I want to get that supply depot up as soon as possible so that I can make sure and block him. And of course he's going to attack one of my SCVs, be generally annoying with it. But what I do, instead of like trying to fight him and try and repair it and spend time doing that, I know that part of the game plan of my rush strategy is to take down Overlords if I can and if I can find them. And I don't want to spend the time scouting with Marines later to try and find the Overlords. And just like I mentioned before, I want to kind of be aware of where that Overlord might come from so that I can deflect him from seeing that I have 4 barracks in my base like way early, because then he's going to throw down spine crawlers and he's going to be prepared to defend a lot more. So that's why you can see I start putting my as my Marines come out, I kind of rally them to sort of where I think the Overlord might be coming from, so that SCV definitely got its use, even though it's kind of frustrated as a Terran to try and like have to spend SCVs to block scouts and to block block your SCVs from getting damaged or killed from a drone harass. So I think this game goes a lot smoother than my last game. I've got my barracks coming up a lot smoother. I don't think I get supply blocked in this game. That's very important to realize, because whenever you do the 2 supply depot Rax block at your ramp, it's really easy to just forget about making supply depots because you have way too much supply for early in the game. But what you don't realize, whenever you're doing the strategy especially, you're producing a lot of Marines and trying to keep up on your SCV production at the same time. So it's very important that you make sure and keep up on those supply depots. So as soon as I get to about 20 supply, I just start continuously building supply depots as I'm macroing up my Marines and rallying them. So now I've hit a little bit later than I want to be like pushing out, but it's just okay timing. It's at a 30 that I pushed out, and as you can see, I'm already adding. Like, all these Marines are starting to pop, and I'm rallying them all up to, and I usually try and put the rally on like the furthest behind Marine. Now, one thing you have to notice or be careful of, like I said before in the last audio or the last replay, my SCVs are way out in front of my Marines. That's kind of bad. You want them to make sure to be a little bit behind so you don't alarm the Zerg and that they're able to protect the Marines. Now you notice that I totally bypassed the hatchery, because really what you want to do is you want to get into what the Zerg has now for economy, and you want to see where he's kind of going, because if your rush fails, then you know what kind of tech at least that he's going.